Hey, Mortgage Coach community, Dave Savage here, and I am interviewing Ryan Nemeyer. Ryan, what is up, my friend?
How's it going, Dave? Good to
It's
see you.
going, it's going good. It's good to meet. We had our first conversation last week.
Hmm.
Ryan was referred to me by Jeremy Forcier.
Great
Ryan
guy.
is one of Jeremy's realtors, and I'm always trying to bring value to the Mortgage Coach community about what do top realtors want, what do top realtors like. I think you're a really cool story because you're in Napa, California,
Hmm.
right?
Yep. Yeah.
Second year in the business. Last year was your first full year. Is that right?
Yep. That's right.
Let everybody know what kind of production you're doing, and then let's try to do something that would help mortgage coach professionals better approach an agent like you and deliver more value to you. And then, of course, remember there are other agents, realtors watching this. Let's try to give them some value also.
Yeah,
Sound
that
good?
sounds great. Yeah, so I mean, I'll start off by telling you a little bit about, my background and just my story. So you're right. I've been in the business for about 2.5 years, full time. I started off with a mentorship position type deal as far as the first 6 months that I was licensed. And so I kind of just took it off from there. I broke off on my own and wanted to try something different. So last year was my full first year in the real estate industry. And I ended up closing $18.9 million in sales. And this year I'm projected to do just about the same. However, my GCI is about 25% higher than last year. So it was really kind of tuning in as far as what I was charging, as far as my commission, a little bit more on the confidence side on my value. And I think that really helped in the dollar amount at the end of the year. So that was, really exciting. I am diving into the luxury market at the moment. So I got in kind of doing whatever I could grab at the time, whether that was mobile home, land acquisition sales, commercial, normal residential, first time home buyers. And then I started to get into the luxury sector. So that's what I'm kind of focusing on right now. I'd say about 60% of my business is with developers or investors. And so, as we spoke of before, I'm currently putting in position a strategic service to help developers and investors as far as their time frames and an insurance policy, essentially. So I've gathered a group of designers, project managers, money lenders, wealth managers, agents, et cetera, that provide a service from acquisition all the way to build out. So the developer can then focus his time somewhere else. And while we kind of manage the project, get it off the ground and get it resold. So that's something kind of exciting in the works that I'm working on as well.
I love it. I love it. Well, I have interviewed some of the top realtors in the country.
Yep.
I think you represent an interesting conversation because let's face it, you're new
Hmm.
and you're successful. And I think that most mortgage coach professionals, whether they're senior loan officers that are killing it, they want you as a client.
Right.
Whether there's new loan officers that are millennials coming into the business, they want you as a client.
Mhm.
Uh, Talk a little bit about why you did business with Jeremy. What was it that you liked about the way he approached you? And then, of course, remember they're mortgage coach loan officers, so anything you could do to call out, how he used mortgage coach and how you
Yeah.
liked it, how you liked it, and how it added value to the conversation.
Absolutely. Well, first off, Mortgage Coach, extremely impressed just with the whole process and the whole modern approach. And I think that's what's really appealing to the younger professionals that are getting into the market, is that they're looking for that digital suite or that digital marketing approach, and incorporating that into all aspects of the business. And this would be specifically on the lending side. So the number one thing that stood out to me with Jeremy, Jeremy is an awesome guy. His energy is just it's
Yeah.
intoxicating almost, which is awesome just to sit down and have a conversation with him. But the first thing that I got from him was a text video. And so when I got that on my phone, I'm like, okay, I do them, but people in Napa where the demographic is 55 plus, I've never seen anybody do that before. So obviously that caught my attention almost immediately. And so I was like, yes, I want to sit down. I want to have lunch with you. Let's just discuss our business. And so he sat down with me and it was kind of an interview at his point of view. So he was like interviewing me kind of. So I kind of let him have his approach, because I'm type A personality and pretty dominant as far as the workforce is concerned. So I was like, okay, I'll let him interview me and ask, the questions. And he's like, do you want to learn a little bit about, this mortgage coach that I'm involved in? I'm like, yeah. I go, tell me more. And so we got into it. and just kind of looking at the behind the scenes and just the interaction as far as the client is concerned is absolutely amazing. So what I liked about it was that it allows the client to feel comfortable with the purchase, number one. And that's what I look for. And it's structuring that experience in such a way that brings value and confidence to the consumer. And so they're always looking for new, fresh approaches in order to solidify that. And I think you guys have hit that right on the nose. And so between the video presentations, the interaction that they can just have on their own at midnight, 1:00. What's really great about Mortgage Coach is it doesn't matter where you are. You're able to utilize it and get the information that you need.
So folks listening in, I want you to know, like when Jeremy does his realtor interview, he's got like 5 questions. I don't know if he followed these exact 5 questions in this sequence, but I'm going to put a link below because it's one of my favorite interviews of this year. And so if you want to listen to how Jeremy conducts a conversation with an agent, link down below. You're watching this on YouTube. In the description below, we'll put a link to Jeremy's 5 questions and how he integrates Mortgage Coach in that conversation. So let's also talk about, I'm sure there's been some loan officers that have followed up with you that you didn't like it was just like, don't like that, or I'm not going to take a meeting with that person. What are some of the things you don't like about the way different loan officers and lenders are following up with you right now?
Yeah, I think the number one turnoff for me is just don't act weird when you make your initial approach, because the first 5 seconds is telling. And so if you come in humble, honest, raw, I think that's going to capture my attention rather than somebody that's just going to kind of put it in your face and just be kind of really awkward about the situation and just telling you about all their numbers and their stats. That's not what I look for, and I really like the soft approach rather than the hard approach. But as far as what I look for in a successful lender is that communication, and I think that's just what every agent looks for, and that's probably number one, is just staying on top of the communication. So I like to see from a loan officer a follow-up email or a call or text or video like Jeremy did. I think that was awesome. It didn't take too much pressure or too many calls to get me to have lunch with him. It was just that initial impression that kind of captured me.
So I heard a couple of things. I heard one, authenticity is more important than professionalism. And so Jeremy's authenticity and energy was super attractive. I heard the fact that he used a multi-channel approach where he was email, he was text, he was Mortgage Coach. He was, I don't know if did he use Facebook at all within his approach with you, or I don't even know, do you use Facebook yourself?
Yeah, I do use Facebook, and it's probably the number one source of my business outside of referrals. And so I just became really consistent on social media. I know that Jeremy is really heavy on social media as well. And so I think that's just really important now is just your whole social media approach and your presence on social media. And as you know, video is number one these days, whether it's within the lending forum or the real estate forum. You just want to have that syndication, that additional exposure, and video is where it's at.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So I hope everybody's authenticity beats professionalism, multi-channel approach, digital experience, the way he integrated Mortgage Coach was impressive to you. So let's also try to give some value to agents, that a loan officer might forward this to. Even someone who's super experienced, killing it, been in business forever, I'm sure they can learn from you. And for all the new realtors out there, this is, you've got a phenomenal success story. So what are some of the things that you're doing? How are you using Facebook? You said it's one of your top sources of business.
Yeah.
How are you using technology as an agent to go after the high-end market?
Yeah, so technology is extremely appealing to me when I first started off in the business, essentially because it's free. So I went from, eating top ramen in college, and now, I'm GCIing over $350,000 a year. And so within a year span. And so social media was a great way for me to expose myself without having to really spend a dime. Obviously, you can do ad campaigns and stuff like that once you start building your business, but I think it's just the consistency and presence that you are doing business, or out in the community, or looking at property, or becoming a market expert, that the clientele is looking for. I'll kind of break it up into two segments. So the first segment is just my whole marketing approach. So I use a 360-degree marketing approach, and it's more of a hybrid. So I focus on digital suite, which is all of my social media, all of my video, anything that I can portray as far as additional syndication globally. That's one sector of my marketing approach. The next one is print media. So I really like to go back to the basics. So I do newspaper ads, I do flyers, I do open houses, I door knock, I meet people within the community, because even though video is great and it's a great secondary resource in order to get your face in front of somebody, that facial recognition is really important. Just being an email or a text just doesn't solidify the relationship, is what I found. My next one is the whole social media platform. So just make sure that you are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google Plus, which Google Plus, even though a lot of people are on Google Plus, it ranks you higher in that search engine. So even if you're going to do a social media post, put it onto Google Plus, because when somebody searches for Napa property and I have a hashtag of Napa property, my post from Google Plus is going to pop up on the first page. And then the last sector of my media marketing approach is public relations. So it's all of my affiliates and people that I've strategically partnered with, as far as the Wall Street Journal, Forbes magazine, Unique Homes, Caviar Affair, whatever market that I'm trying to approach. I ensure that I have a good public relations relationship. That's kind of like a tongue twister, but there it is.
Yeah, no, that was a lot, but I think the takeaway there is have a digital presence,
Mm-hmm.
in all of the mediums that are important to you. I love the fact that you called out Google Plus. Well, it's just a little thing, but
Mm-hmm.
like this video, people don't maybe not realize it. When I do these interviews, I put them on Google Plus. It just raises them in the search bar. No, I don't. That's not what drives the views, but you know what? Sometimes they really get picked up, and it does drive a lot of views. And it definitely puts Mortgage Coach and the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel higher on the Google engine. So
Right.
that was smart. Are you using Facebook Messenger much with clients? Is that something that you're doing more of or less of?
It is something, and that's probably the number one source of consumers reaching out to me via social media would be Messenger. So I think that it's a
Interesting.
growing source. And I actually just completed a transaction that was completely Facebook Messenger. So I completely communicated with the consumer through Messenger. It was a little bit more difficult for our side, so hopefully Facebook starts to
Yeah, right.
recognize the real estate community, make it a little bit easier for us as far as those communications and documents and all of that. But I think that's kind of where it's trending, just because it's comfortable. It's comfortable for that age demographic, under 40 millennial type person. It's just they're on their cell phone, they're out running around, they're just saying Surrey, message, so and so, and and they're on Facebook, and it's all integrated, and it's just it's what they're comfortable with. Especially in my market. I mean, it might be different in other, national markets, but it's being so close to the Silicon Valley and this kind of being that second home or third home market. We're seeing a lot of those buyers and those young techies that are coming up into, our sector up in North Bay.
Yeah. Well, I think the takeaway for everybody is you want to connect with agents like yourself that are doing great. I mean, there's a lot of realtors that have been doing it for a long time that
Mm-hmm.
aren't doing 20 million a year in production and growing.
Yeah.
So if you do want to approach young realtors, ask them how they communicate. What channel are you communicating in? And for all you realtors out there, now more than ever, we need to find out, how does a family want to communicate with us? And for any realtor that's watching this, if your loan officer is on the Mortgage Coach team, they can give options. It's if the family clicks on it from a mobile device, they get a mobile experience. They click on it from a desktop, they get a desktop experience. They click on it from text, they get the experience. They click on it from Facebook, they get that experience. So I think it's so important that we deliver people what they want in the channel that they want, whether you're a realtor or whether you're a loan officer. Also, for anybody who does want to go a little deeper in how agents use Facebook for marketing, down below I put a few more links. Tina Bellevue, an agent on the East Coast, don't worry, you don't compete. She's in the Baltimore market. Interview below. Check out Tina. And then I also interviewed Chris Smith. He wrote The Conversion Code. By the way, if you have not read his book, The Conversion Code, really good book. And I'm going to put a link to that down below too. At least the interview I did on Facebook marketing. So let's wrap this up. I like to keep these as close to 15 minutes as possible, and we're at 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Any last words of wisdom? And I'll let you choose whether you give it to other realtors or whether you give it to mortgage professionals or both. Any closing thoughts for the mortgage coach community?
Yeah, I think just kind of like backtracking up to your communication platform, I think it's extremely important that that's the number one question that you ask is where are they communicating through? So just to ensure that you are reaching them on their comfortable platform and kind of making that comfortable experience as far as the purchase is concerned. And so you're relating to them and you're able to kind of mold to their situation. I think it's really important to be adaptable.
Yeah, I love that. So I hope you got value from this. If you like this interview, like it below, share it with your mortgage friends, share it with your real estate friends. And I have a feeling you and I are going to be talking again.
I really hope so. This has been awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And if you have more questions for agents or you know another agent that we should interview here at Mortgage Coach, let us know in comments, let us know on Facebook. We're looking to bring value to you, the Mortgage Coach community. So, hey, man, thank you so much for taking time and adding
Thank
value.
you.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
Take care.